I'm Al Bundy here for a special edition of Meet the Leaders at the New Jersey State Capitol, talking to state legislators about what's happening here in Trenton. Joining me now is State Senator Gill. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about your district.
It's from the 34th District, and it's probably one of the most diverse in the state. Clifton, Montclair, where I live and grew up, East Orange, and Orange. So we know that Clifton is a wonderful, wonderful city of diverse culture and of diverse experience.
I want to thank you for representing me for a long, long time when I was in Orange. I'm not quite there now, but hey, we still thank you for your leadership. Talk to me a little bit about, the affordability of New Jersey. I mean, we still have some of the highest taxes in the nation, and it's causing a lot of people to have a hard time staying here.
Yes, and I think that when we address it on a multi-tiered level, that we can, one, increase jobs, increase wages, hold down spending in municipalities, and provide both an affordable housing stock as well as a quality education. So I don't think there's just one thing to achieve that affordability. There are multiple things that need to be done so that we can move the whole concept forward into a reality.
Why don't we unpack that now? Let's start with one of the biggest problems has been housing and foreclosures, which is another crisis in our state. How does that relate to affordability?
Well, I think the issue of foreclosure, if you can reclaim those foreclosed homes, and given the zoning of whatever particular town, then be able to turn them maybe into affordable multiple housing, apartments, have a organization, or if it's a nonprofit, who can reclaim those through foreclosure and then make them affordable for the community.
Now, are the banks working with us or getting involved with municipalities to make that happen? Because the banks don't really want the properties.
Yeah, I think the banks are working because it is not advantageous to the banks to have the foreclosed homes on their books, so that moving towards affordability, one of the issues is to reclaim those foreclosed homes in the communities and to then make them affordable for the people who live there.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about living in New Jersey and having a decent living wage, and certainly there's been much discussion about making us a $15 an hour living wage for most people who work in New Jersey. You know, there's been some modification, but I don't understand, we're still not there yet. Where are you at on this?
Well, I'm for a $15 minimum wage, because that's still not even a livable wage.
That's true.
It is a
You're correct,
minimum
because that's
wage.
about $16,000 a year.
Yes, it's a minimum, and so that
Working poor.
Yes, and the case has not yet been made to me on the substantive basis as to why we should have carve-outs. Teenagers now, they're not just working to get a car. Teenagers are working to help pay the rent or the mortgage in their families. Teenagers are working as part of the ability to sustain their families and to help in the communities. So I think we have to take a more realistic approach with respect to teenagers. It's just not the carefree teenager being a lifeguard in the summer so they could get a convertible to go to school in the fall.
So
I
true.
think we need to reassess that and understand that they're an integral part of the financial stability.
And plus, teenagers and youth employment is very, very important. They take away child poverty in some cases, but more importantly, it's important for them to learn to work.
Yes, and teenagers, I think they're dedicated to working. And we could then instill the work ethic early, sense of responsibility, so that when they move into adulthood, there's a more responsible, financially knowledgeable individual.
You can start learning about financial literacy early.
Yes.
That's important to learn
Yes.
to save money. Let's move on. The Parcc Exam has been a controversy, a lot of pushback from parents, but recently it's been modified some. It's taken out some of the evaluation towards teachers. Good idea, bad idea? Doing the right thing here?
Well, we're doing the right thing moving away from Parcc.
Okay.
Because, of course, my
It's only
district...
2 states left with
Right.
Parcc? Is that correct?
And we are, at this point, I think, creating a real issue with the 11th graders and what assessments they will be required to take in order to graduate, and that is based upon this confusion with Parcc. So, as a grandmother of a 13-year-old, we understand that it is important to educate children, not simply teach to a test, but to educate them, to make them excited about learning, and to make them have tools that allow for critical thinking and critical analysis, not simply rote memory. But we had a lot of teaching to the test. But it's the critical analysis and the ability to contextualize that I think really is the basis of an enlightened education.
Let's stay on education just a little bit more. Higher education, the governor has an pilot program called the Educational Opportunity Grant for junior colleges that assists families under $45,000 to go to college pretty much free. What do you think of his idea, this pilot? A good idea?
Well, I think it's a good idea because I think ideas that engage people in the educational process can only be a benefit for our state. So when you talk about affordability, you have more people with better jobs on the tax rolls that makes the state more affordable for them in that context. So I think how we capture people into the educational process, if it is technical schools, if it is to teach you to be a plumber, and anyone who knows, I live in one of those old houses in Montclair, I'd rather have the plumber's income than the lawyer's income.
If you could get them, they're so busy.
Yes. Carpentry, all of these other things.
Make as much as a doctor does nowadays, that's true.
And I think that we go back to that classic conversation of W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. And we, at this point, are able to join both of those philosophical positions.
Both the academic and the vocational.
Both the academic and vocational, so that we can move our society and our state forward.
One last item before we go. One thing you want to work on with our governor that you think's paramount right now. I know there's many items, but one that you have a great passion for.
Well, you know, I do have a great passion for being able to provide affordable insurance, working on Obamacare, working on tiered networks so that we have transparency in the regulatory process of hospitals and insurance companies. I know it may not be a clamorous issue, but I think it's an issue that has an effect on all New Jersey. So I'd like to be there on that issue and voting, that we must have in-person early voting. So that people can go to the polls 14 days in advance of voting and vote in a machine and with the machine. I think that will engage the voting process and thus engage more of a citizenship issue with the governing and the governance of the state.
One thing I want to say is we recently saw this federal judge talk in Texas talk about the Affordable Care Act being unconstitutional, and now back in the news more than ever. Given your feelings, what do you want to share? What should our federal legislators be concerned about related to that decision?
Well, I think that was probably also a scare tactic in order to get people not to sign up. Because if you read the opinion, and I'm a lawyer, in the don't hold that against me, but the opinion from the judge was not even legally sound. And I was part of the original Obamacare that we fought for in New Jersey, and one of the issues of Obamacare is really one of my laws, where you can allow your child to remain on your insurance
Until they're 26?
Yes.
By the
that
way,
was first done in New Jersey.
And let's make sure that the public knows Obamacare is not going anywhere based on this one decision at this point. Let's make sure
Obamacare is not going anyplace based on this one decision. What will happen is Obamacare will be stronger, and Obamacare will also then cover more people. You know, I think it was Abe Lincoln. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time.
We out of time, Senator. We're here with State Senator Nia Gill here at the State House for Meet the Leaders. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much.